right. Here we are. So, have a bit of a message for you today. I'm talking to the men and actually to the women as well. And if you're a dad in recovery, or if you're a mom, whose husband, father of your children, is a man in recovery, you might find this enlightening. I think, you know, I've been I've been a dad for 45 years, and in my own case, when I ended up with three kids, you know, uh, which here I am, a guy had no plan to have children, but I ended up with three kids, and I realized that I didn't have a benchmark. I had no standard of being a dad. My dad, I mean, I love my dad, and I think he did the best that he could with the tools that he had. Um, but I didn't really get a benchmark. I didn't really have a role model to speak of, and even my older brothers, in some cases, struggled with their parenting, and so I didn't. I went and found some men in the 90s. It was for me, my kids were still young, and I needed to, you know, get some idea of was I doing okay? My expectations were really high, and I think this happens to a lot of men. Our expectations are so high that we fail, and we're bound to fail with these high expectations, and we judge ourselves, and we look at ourselves as and I see this with men all the time. I've talked to hundreds of men, and I see this all the time. They're terrified that they're not going to show up and do a great job, but they don't even know what that really looks like. And they don't have men in their life to talk to about it, and role models. We've watched a lot of Hollywood, which is unrealistic. And the same thing happens for women. We often women, judging the men who are the dads, as failures because they can't turn up the way that maybe Hollywood has painted the picture, and so I encourage men to realize that they often set the bar so high for themselves that they can't succeed, and they don't have anywhere to go to find a benchmark, to how do I do this, and often when I start to work with men who are dads in recovery, it's really gone sideways, and they're not. Many men have given up. They're early in recovery, let's say, or even if they've been around for a number of years, and they're estranged from their kids, maybe their first family, and they're trying it again, but still no real benchmark. I remember I had when I kind of woke up to realizing that I didn't know what the hell I was doing as a dad, or I didn't feel confident as a dad. I had two. I was had children by two women, and they were giving me a lot of feedback as how to be a great dad, and God bless them. They were great moms, and I was never going to be a great mom, and there's also been a lot of confusion in the last 20, 30 years around masculinity and around what does that look like, and it's not as simple as it used to be, and so I didn't know where I stood. And so this is my message today, is to for men to find some men that are your men. And I was in a meeting last night, and one of the speakers there, who I really enjoy, said, find your tribe. Find your tribe, and whether they're in the 12-step world or not. My I've lots of male men friends, and men that I trust in the 12-step world. I have a sponsor that I talk to about still about parenting, because I'm still parenting even though my kids are in their 30s and 40s, and but I also have a group of men that are not they're kind of my men's team, and I think they're not a 12-step, but when we do events, there's never any drinking or it's not a bunch of drinkers. They're normies, eh? And I love them, and I've been with them for 26 years, and just actually spent a weekend in the country. We did a camp out. There's about 120 of us, and wow, to for me to have grown with these men. And so I encourage you to find men that we can, so you can see yourself, and men who have children, so you can see yourself and build a community. We need community. It's one of the things I do here in this house is I have potlucks so that we can have community. So the men can come together and women can come and be here with their children, and they come and bring their kids. It's beautiful. And I even have men living here who have children that they bring to stay here with us, and it's part of it. And men, with a little encouragement, can be great dads, and but we're a little hard on ourselves. That's the message, that we're hard on ourselves. And so I'm also at the core of the work that I'm doing, building a community of men, so that we can see each other and see ourselves and talk openly and confidentially about our situations and to be the dads we want to be. So that's it. If you like this idea, of men supporting men I mean, it's my mission. My context in life is that I serve my higher power, right? I serve my higher power. I serve love. And I serve the men in community to be the dads that they want to be. And so my job is to encourage and to share this love. So that's it. If you like what I just said, make a comment. I'm also going to put this on YouTube, and if you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe and help me carry this message. My plan is to start a Tuesday night call shortly. Maybe even as soon as next week, we'll see. And in that Tuesday night call, to have like a Zoom call where men can start to talk about and connect with each other in this area. And if that is of interest to you, then drop me a message here, and I'll get back to you, and we'll set it up. And I'm not a big tech guy, but I think I can be helpful to men who are dads in recovery. It's this big hole, if you will, in the whole recovery world around this, and it's something we don't talk about a lot. It doesn't get brought up in the meetings a lot. It doesn't, maybe you have a sponsor, but he doesn't have success in this area, or doesn't have kids, or hasn't really done his own work in this area. So, I don't want to be or take away from anybody's sponsorship, but I want to help men to be. I'm going to help. I do help. I hope men to be the dads they want to be. That's it. Bit of a long one today. Love you all. Love you all. This is not just for the men. This is for the children. This is for the wives. This is for the families. I feel blessed to be able to put my time and effort into this. Thank you. Appreciate your support.